The sky above the dragon spire had not known interruption for 1,000 years. Clouds parted when the dragons wished it. Storms formed only with their consent. Sun and starlight bowed to ancient rhythms older than memory. The dragon spire itself rose from the mountains like a wound in the world. Black stone threaded with veins of molten fire, its peaks sharp enough to tear the heavens. On this day the sky split, not with thunder, not with flame, with silence. A seam of silver light tore open the firmament, clean and precise, as if reality itself had been cut by an unseen blade. The air vibrated, humming with a foreign energy that made the mountains groan and the dragons stir uneasily in their lairs. From the rift descended a vessel unlike any craft the dragons had ever destroyed. It was smooth, faceted, neither metal nor stone, reflecting the world around it as though undecided whether to exist within it. Strange symbols rippled across its surface, languages born among stars, not fire. The horns sounded. Low, resonant calls echoed through the dragon spire, summoning the court. Massive shapes emerged from caverns and clouds alike, dragons of every hue and age, scales gleaming like living armor. Wings unfolded that could blot out cities, eyes ignited with suspicion. At the heart of the great basalt platform stood the Dragon King and Queen. The king was vast even among his kind. His scales burned gold and crimson, each one etched with scars earned across eras of conquest. Fire rolled constantly beneath his hide, visible through the seams of his armor-like flesh. His crown was not worn, it was grown, a natural extension of horns shaped by centuries of dominance. The queen stood beside him, her form sleeker but no less terrible. Her scales shimmered like molten pearl, catching light in impossible colors. Where the king radiated destruction, she radiated control, fire bound into elegance, power shaped by restraint. They watched as the vessel descended and settled upon the stone without a sound. A hatch unfolded. The aliens emerged slowly. They were tall, thin, their bodies wrapped in protective suits that shimmered faintly against the dragon spire's heat. Their limbs were long, their movements precise, calculated. They carried no visible weapons, only a profound, unmistakable fear. One by one they knelt. The act sent a ripple of surprise through the gathered dragons. Few beings in the universe knelt before dragonkind willingly. Fewer still came without chains or tribute of gold. One alien stepped forward. Cradled in its arms was a small bundle wrapped in white thermal cloth, reinforced with unfamiliar materials. The bundle shifted slightly. A soft sound escaped it, so quiet it was almost lost beneath the crackle of lava and the whisper of wind. The Dragon King's eyes narrowed. "You trespass upon sacred sky," he rumbled, his voice causing the stone beneath their feet to vibrate. "You arrive uninvited, unarmed and alive. Explain why." "We come as supplicants," it said, "and as mourners." A murmur spread among the dragons, low growls, curling smoke, sparks snapping between fangs. The aliens swallowed. "Our war has reached a world not meant for war, a young species, fragile, brief." It raised the bundle slightly. "This child is human." At the word human, several dragons scoffed outright. Others snorted plumes of smoke. Humans were known, short-lived, clever, endlessly curious, and utterly insignificant in the long calculus of eternity. The Dragon King stepped forward. The heat intensified immediately. The stone beneath his talons glowed red. "You bring prey into my court?" he asked calmly, which was far worse than anger. "Have you lost your reason?" The alien did not retreat. "No," it said softly. "We have lost our hope." The bundle moved again. A tiny hand emerged from the cloth, fingers curling clumsily as if grasping at the air itself. The child made a small sound, half a breath, half a question. It was not a cry of fear. It was simply alive. The sound cut through the dragon spire like a blade. The queen inhaled sharply. It was not something anyone noticed at first, just a subtle pause, a moment where her fire stilled instead of flaring. Her eyes, ancient and endlessly observant, fixed on the bundle. "Bring him closer," she said. Several dragons hissed in protest. The king turned his head slightly toward her, surprise flickering across his molten gaze. "Beloved," I said, the queen repeated, her voice calm but absolute. "Bring him closer." The alien obeyed instantly, stepping forward with care bordering on reverence. As it reached the edge of the platform, it knelt again and extended the bundle upward. The queen approached. Each step she took was measured, controlled. Her talons could shatter mountains, yet she placed them with delicate precision. When she reached the alien, she bent low, heat radiating from her scales in waves that should have incinerated the child instantly. They did not. The thermal cloth warmed, but did not burn. Carefully, the queen extended one talon and slipped it beneath the bundle, lifting it into her grasp. The dragon spire held its breath. The baby stirred as he was lifted, eyes fluttering open. They were dark, unfocused, seeing nothing clearly, and yet, as his gaze drifted upward, it settled on the queen's massive, radiant face. For a moment no one moved. Then the child yawned, a tiny, helpless sound. He pressed closer to the warmth, cheek resting against the queen's scaled chest, and fell asleep. The queen froze. Her fire did not surge. It softened. Something ancient, buried beneath centuries of rulership and war, stirred awake. She cradled the child closer, instinctively shielding him with one wing. "He is not afraid," she whispered. The Dragon King stepped forward, his vast shadow falling over them both. He expected screaming, burning, death. Instead, he saw peace. "A human infant should be ash," he said quietly. "And yet he is not," the queen replied, "because we did not choose to harm him." She looked up at her mate, eyes luminous. "He is fragile." The king studied the child, the slow rise and fall of a tiny chest, fingers no larger than his claws. A life so brief it would be over before a dragon finished a single long sleep. "This war you speak of," the king said to the aliens, "will destroy his kind." "Yes," the alien replied, "his world will burn within the year." The Dragon King was silent for a long time. At last he lowered his head, a bow, not to the aliens, to the child. "If the universe has chosen to cast him away," he said, his voice echoing across the spire, "then he will not fall into the void." He straightened, fire rolling through his veins. "He will grow beneath our wings. He will know strength without cruelty, fire without destruction." The queen smiled, a terrifying, beautiful thing. "This one," she said, "will not be prey." The alien delegation bowed until their foreheads touched stone. Behind them the rift began to close, and in the arms of the Dragon Queen, a human child slept peacefully, unaware that in a single breathless moment he had become something unheard of across worlds, a fragile life claimed by immortals. The child did not grow quickly. To the dragons that was the first shock. Days passed, then weeks, then years. The dragon spire endured as it always had, unchanging, eternal, but the human child changed constantly. Each morning brought something new, a slightly stronger grip, a clearer gaze, a sound closer to a word than a cry. The dragons watched in fascinated silence. They had raised wormlings before, of course. Dragons were born fierce, already scaled, already breathing smoke and sparks within days. Growth for their kind was measured in centuries, not milestones. Power came first. Wisdom followed, if it came at all. This child was different. He was named Erin, a word the queen chose because it meant warmth between flames in the oldest dragon tongue. The king approved it quietly, etching the name into stone so the dragon spire itself would remember. Erin learned to crawl across obsidian floors that cooled beneath his touch. When he fell, and he fell often, massive talons caught him mid-tumble, always gentle, always precise. The dragons learned restraint in ways war had never taught them. Fire became careful. Flames that once roared freely now dimmed when the child toddled too close. Magma channels cooled at his approach. Even the wild mountain winds shifted, as if unwilling to push him. The queen sang to him. Her voice could shape valleys and shatter armies, yet when she sang to Erin, it softened into something almost melodic. Ancient dragon lullabies echoed through the spire, resonant and deep, vibrating through stone and scale alike. The child slept best curled against her chest, the steady thrum of her heart grounding him in a world far too vast. The king watched from a distance at first. He had conquered stars. He had ended civilizations with a word. Yet he found himself uncertain around something so small, so breakable. He feared that one careless breath, one instinctive movement, might end the boy's life. So he observed. He watched as Erin learned to walk by gripping the queen's claws. He watched as other dragons, curious, cautious, lowered their massive heads to peer at the tiny human who showed no fear. He watched as the court changed, subtly, irrevocably. Dragons argued less. They destroyed less. The presence of the child did something no enemy had ever achieved. It made them consider. When Erin spoke his first word, it was not mother or father. It was fire. The court froze. A spark danced between the king's talons as he tested the word aloud. Fire, he repeated slowly. Erin laughed. The sound, high, bright, utterly fearless, echoed off the stone walls. Dragons shifted uncomfortably, something unfamiliar tightening in their chests. That sound carried no challenge, no submission. It was joy, pure and unguarded. From that day forward, the king took a more active role. He taught Erin not how to fight, but how to stand, how to face something larger without shrinking. He let the boy sit upon his forearm as he explained the stars, naming constellations burned into the heavens by dragonkind, long before humans learned to look up. "You are small," the king said one day, his voice a controlled rumble. "That is not a weakness, it is a truth. Know it." Erin nodded solemnly, legs dangling above molten stone. "But small things," the king continued, "can choose where to stand, and that choice matters." Years passed. Erin grew from infant to child, from child to boy. His hair darkened, his steps steadied. His questions multiplied endlessly. "Why don't you age? Why is fire alive? Why did the aliens leave me?" That question silenced the spire. The queen answered him that night, wings wrapped around them both. "They loved you," she said gently, "enough to give you somewhere safe." "Did my people love me?" Erin asked, voice quiet. The king answered that one. "Yes," he said without hesitation. "Enough to fight a war they could not win. That matters." Erin accepted this in silence. But the dragons noticed something then, something subtle, dangerous, and inevitable. The boy aged. The dragons did not. Years that felt like moments to them marked entire chapters of his life. His voice deepened, his limbs lengthened. Scars appeared on skin that healed slowly compared to dragon flesh. Time touched him relentlessly. The queen began to worry. She hid it well, she always had, but the king noticed the way her gaze lingered when Erin slept, the way her songs grew softer, slower, as if trying to stretch moments thin. One day Erin asked the question they had dreaded. "Will I die?" The court fell silent. The queen closed her eyes. The king knelt so that his vast head rested level with the boy's gaze. "Yes," he said honestly. "One day." Erin swallowed. "Soon?" "No," the king said, "but sooner than us." The boy thought about this for a long time. "Will you be sad?" "Yes." "Will you forget me?" The queen answered before the king could. "Never," she said fiercely. "You are written into stone, flame, and memory. You are ours." Erin nodded, accepting this with the strange calm only humans could muster in the face of impossible truths. "I'm glad," he said. that you're my family." Something broke and healed inside the dragon spire that day. The other dragons began calling him Prince openly, no longer in jest or curiosity, but in acknowledgement. He was taught diplomacy alongside fire law, empathy alongside strength. He learned the histories of wars and the cost of pride. And in return, he taught the dragons something no enemy ever had: urgency. Because humans were brief. Because moments mattered. Because love was not diminished by its ending. It was defined by it. When Erin reached adulthood, the king held a ceremony unseen in any age before. No conquest, no submission, only declaration. "This human," the king proclaimed, "is not a guest, not a ward, not a curiosity." He lowered his head, again that ancient, shocking gesture. "He is our son." Fire did not roar. It bowed. Far beyond the dragon spire, civilizations rose and fell. Stars dimmed. Wars ended and began again. But within halls of stone and flame, a human prince walked beneath immortal wings, loved not despite his fragility, but because of it.